Hi, this is Henry Chamberlain. Welcome to another Comics Grinder. I have a heavy hitter in the comics industry. This is Derek Kirk Kim we're going to be talking with, and he's done everything. He just knocked it out of the ballpark with Same Difference and won all the awards, Ignatz, Harvey, Eisner, and then he came back with The Eternal Smile with Gene Yang, and now it's The Last Mermaid. And he's done a lot of stuff in animation. He's worked with Disney, Adventure Time, Green Eggs and Ham on Netflix. So a lot of other stuff. First of all, thank you so much, Derek, for doing this interview.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Honored to be here.
I wanted to start by saying it was such an amazing treat to run into you at Comic-Con. My partner, Jennifer Daydreamer, a cartoonist in her own right, and published by Top Shelf, and she's
Awesome.
a writer as well. She said we got to look around because I had a table this year, and she said let's look, and we found you, and it's interesting that how the publishers will do things. They'll have you guys seated at the publisher booth or fiefdom they have, and then they'll have you guys go over to Artist Alley and do your own thing, and that's where we found you. So I want to ask you, what would you like to say, just starting off about the Last Mermaid? Maybe that's a good jumping off point.
Sure. It's as you mentioned, I did comics and then I did animation for a long time. So The Last Mermaid is my first comic back in to comics in like 10 years. So I've been kind of out of the comic scene for a while. So it's been really exciting to come back with the Last Mermaid. And it's a post-apocalyptic story about a mermaid on this quest in a desert post-apocalyptic wasteland. And she's basically seeking her home. She's obviously literally a fish out of water. It's literally a fish out of water story. And needless to say, because she's a mer creature and she breathes through gills on her neck, it's a very perilous journey, but she's risking it all to see if she can find an environment that's suited to her, and also if she can find others like her. She's never met any other mermaids on her journeys. The only other mermaid she's ever known is her mom, who died when she was young, and other than that, she's basically alone. It's the ultimate black sheep story, and she meets this mysterious stranger named Torque on her journey, and he tells her that he knows where this thing that she's searching is. He's seen it before, this giant edifice, and he can lead her to it. So she kind of very trepidatiously decides to follow him, and the stories about their journey and all the things that get uncovered during this journey.
Now, I want to say that when I was at Comic-Con, I approached you, we started to chat, and you went ahead and just gave me the first 5 issues. So I sometimes will be the last person, like I'm under a rock. I was not really aware of The Last Mermaid, but now, my goodness, I'm so aware of it and hyper aware of it. And it was such a treat to read The Last Mermaid. And I was intrigued and just really fascinated by how it developed, the letters column, the fan base. And I have a theory that there's this group of people who know you from your great award-winning work, and then there's this whole new other group. I don't know what the percentage would be, 50-50 or what. What thoughts might come to mind about your fan base?
Oh, I think for The Last Mermaid, I would say maybe 80-20%, 80% not knowing that I'd ever done comics before, because I've been out of comics for a really long time. And even when I was in comics, I was pretty much like an indie artist. I wasn't like super well known or anything. So yeah, most people, from what I can tell from the letters, a lot of people just think this is my first comic. So which is fun, because they come in without any expectations or wanting anything from the book other than what it is, right? Because they don't have any prior knowledge of my work. So I kind of feel like a kid again, like I'm starting over, which is super fun, because I haven't had that feeling in a really long time, obviously. So yeah, it's been really fun. And then like I've gotten some fan art already, and that's been really cool. And on the latest issue, number 6, which comes out actually tomorrow, I have 3 variant covers as well, 3 of my closest friends. So that's really exciting. If I can just take a moment to show everyone, would that be okay?
Oh, please, yes.
So this is the main cover, number 6, that comes out tomorrow. And then I have 3 variant covers, one with Joy Ng. So Joy, I actually know from my time on Adventure Time. I was the lead character designer for a couple seasons, and Joy was one of our lead designers, one of our stalwarts there. She's been doing it for a long time, long before I got there. And she actually painted most of the, if you see any Adventure Time episode, when it first starts, there's like a title card with this beautiful painting on it, and then the title on it. And Joy did almost all of those. So yeah, she's the painter of this cover. And then this is Gene Yang, the aforementioned genius, Gene Yang. I can literally call him a genius because he won the MacArthur Genius Grant. But anyway, yeah, he did this amazing cover, which I don't know if you can tell, but it's a yin and yang.
Oh,
so
yeah.
the Havoc and Lottie form the dots, which I thought was a really, really cool idea. And we did that book together called Eternal Smile. And then the last one is by Jacob Perez, who's new in the comic scene, but he's an artist on the in animation, and most notably right now, the Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon that just came out or is coming out soon. He's a character designer on that. And Jacob's going to be drawing my next graphic novel, which comes out next April. It's called Royals, and we're doing it together. And so those are the 3 artists that are on there for the 6th issue, and it's super exciting. And I'm so grateful that they were down to do it.
Oh, thanks so much for doing that. I'm going to let you run with it for the most part. I have my questions, but I want whatever comes to mind will be of interest to folks. And I had some interesting ideas. I'll go ahead and just throw it out to you right now. So one thing that I wanted to ask you, Derek, is about the tone of the book. I see in the Eternal Smile that it's adventure stories. Or the fantasy genre, but with a wink of an eye, it's a touch of irony, sometimes a little more than just a touch. And in The Last Mermaid, it's a different tone. Can you talk about that?
Yes, definitely. It's definitely a conscious thing. I think when I was younger doing those works, I was a little bit more sarcastic. I was a little bit more sardonic, just because of my age. And so I think that it shows in that. But now that I'm a grizzled old man, I want to do a story that's much more that wears its heart on its sleeve, and that's much more genuine. And so yeah, that was a very purposeful thing. And also I've always wanted to do something that's like a epic, fantastical, or science fiction kind of story, and I did another sci-fi story called Tune, which was very like comedic. It was like mostly inspired by like Red Dwarf, that British television show. Mm-hmm. It's like a sci-fi comedy. So I wanted to kind of do something in that vein where it was sci-fi and comedy. So I kind of mined that already. Something that's more tongue-in-cheek or whatever, or self-aware, I guess. And this one, so I wanted to try another one that was totally the opposite, and just straightforward and genuine and heartfelt. And that's what The Last Mermaid is. And it's also I think because it's about a black sheep, basically. I didn't want to be in that kind of mode for this story. I wanted us to follow the character in a very real, genuine way. So
I wanted to switch over to showing folks The Last Mermaid, because people are coming to this from different places. Some people, this is the very first time they've heard of it. Others, they're just waiting to get the next issue. And I will just go ahead and give credit to a YouTube critic who did such a beautiful job of reviewing your book. It's one of the most popular reviews. He's talking about the storyboards, and then talking about the bleed, and how everything's deliberate. It's not just storyboarding. And then, of course,
which video was this?
I think it pops up pretty close to the top. It was doing issue 2.
Oh, that one. Okay, I have seen that. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, and then this is such an iconic image. Can you tell maybe that's something people would I'm sure they'd love to hear a little insight about this. How did this image come about?
Well, every post-apocalyptic story has a destroyed Golden Gate Bridge, so
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I wanted to continue in that tradition, and also more closely to me personally. I'm a Bay Area kid. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, so it's such a iconic thing that's always looming over us. So I just wanted to pay tribute to where I'm from, really, and also it's there's a very specific story purpose for it, of course. There's nothing like the Golden Gate Bridge or like the Statue of Liberty to indicate right away like some kind of huge disaster. So I think
Something's not quite right.
Yeah, exactly. It's a real good shorthand. I mean for that.
And I love how the fans of the book know right away. Lottie said, I can't even pronounce it. An axolotl.
Yeah, in English it's axolotl. There's the real way, the Spanish way is different. The Mexican Spanish way is different, but I'm not even going to try to attempt that. But yeah, in English people call it axolotl.
And I just say salamander, but this little guy. We don't know the gender necessarily. It's Lottie's.
Well, she calls him a female. She calls Lottie a her. Yeah.
I see. Well, Lottie does provide a lot of levity.
Yes. Yeah, she's the little beacon of light in this dark world.
Yeah, I was looking at the issues again last night, and there are touches of little hints that things are not all sweet.
Mm-hmm.
There's darkness looming. But
yes.
So everyone has their theories about how the book came about. One person is sure that this was going to be an animated piece first, and then it became a comic book. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. No, there was never any plans for it to be like a fully animated thing or anything like that. The initial way I was telling the story was as an animatic, which is what I did at work when I was directing at Disney on Amphibia. What I would do is make animatics for the episodes, which is you take all the storyboards, you put them in sequence. I mean, the editor does that part. They put it in sequence. You put the sound and music and the dialogue so that you can watch it and it plays like a blueprint for the actual episode. So I was just doing it that way. I wanted to do an animatic that was all my own, my own story. So, and it was during the pandemic and needed something to do. Yeah, that's how it started. And then I realized that it's really, really laborious and time consuming, and I got to make some money somehow, and just the videos alone. I mean, they're not making any money or anything. You need like millions of views to make any kind of money. So I decided at that point that it'd probably be I could actually do it as my job if I did it as a comic. So that's why all the panels are in this kind of ratio, because they started out as storyboard panels for the animatic. But yeah, so that's how it got transferred. But it wasn't never like a show that I pitched or anything like that. It was just my own story that I was doing in a way that was comfortable for me at the time. But then I thought, this is actually really cool because it gives me a chance to go back to my roots, which is comics. And I've been wanting to get back into comics for a really long time. So during those 10 years in animation, all these stories are building up and I had no way to get them out. So, and this was one of them. This is the one that was the foremost in my mind. So.
Well, while you're talking, I'm trying to come up with something clever to say. And I was thinking, well, you don't need luck, but it is like there was a touch of luck in how everything came together. Like you had this labor of love, and then you figured out, well, maybe it could become a comic book. And then everyone says, wow, this is an amazing comic because it's so refreshing. The format, the subject matter, the whole thing is just such a knockout.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
But I want to tell folks, because I know, everything moves so quickly that everyone says, oh, well, I already knew that. Well, maybe that Derek has made other work, but if you read The Eternal Smile and even Same Difference, there'll be a little bit of clues as to what you might do next with the story, just your attitude, your way of telling stories. Maybe you're not going to find the silliness, not at this heavy dose with same difference, but you will find little things. I spotted there's this Easter egg in here
Mhm.
where it's you've got the villain saying, "I'm gonna eat your bones," and then you have it also in here. It's
Oh,
a
right.
very subtle little thing, but
That was Gene Yang's line, but yeah, we kind of I think share a brain, so I think yeah, I think that tracks for sure.
oh, and
Um,
also the whole idea that oh well, you were a cartoonist, everything was just line work, but there's some lush, beautiful use of color. And of course, with
oh,
this
thank you.
book, I don't know who's writing what, who's drawing what necessarily.
It's all Gene writing and me drawing. Yeah,
Okay.
so all the art is me, and then the writing is all Gene.
Well, yeah, I kind of it's a little bit of flavor of what might come in the future here, I think.
That's true. Oh, also, but I should mention Gene did lay out the stories, so I
Uh-huh.
did draw off of his layouts. Yeah, we have very similar storytelling ideas or just approaches, so we've
Yeah.
always been very fluid that way.
Well, yes, similar but very distinct as well.
Yeah.
But I have to tell folks, you got to check out Same Difference because it is such it an immersive story. It's like you feel like you're with these friends, and I love it how it's aged so well because there's all of these pop culture references from years back, which is it just adds to the fun, and everything is
Yeah.
so interconnected. There's a lot of cartoonists who try to do this where they interconnect stories between different people, and sometimes it doesn't quite work. But this is such a gem in that respect, and it's so
Oh,
well written. Can you tell a little bit about the process? Because this must have taken a lot of editing and going back and forth with it. Can
yeah.
you say a little bit about the Same Difference?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was my first graphic novel, and it's the one that kind of gave me a career in comics. I had done a few comics here and there before that. Actually, what the Duncan's Kingdom story and Eternal Smile was actually a two-issue Image comic that Gene and I did
Mm.
years before the collection came out, and so I was with Image before actually in the early days. But the same difference, like you were saying, I think a lot of unique stories can come out of combining two things that might not seem that they'd go together. You know, if you can work them out, like you said, and weave it together um, very harmoniously, then I think that's a kind of a good recipe for new stories. And Gene did that brilliantly with American Born Chinese, where he weaved like three stories together.
Oh yeah.
Um, and but I was doing something not that I wasn't reaching for something as grand as American Born Chinese, but I did have like two stories that I was kind of threading together. And I think originally I had them as two separate short stories, and then I thought thematically they matched really well, and I thought it'd be a real surprise in the story if they kind of came together near the end. Um, and actually, it was Gene's. I think it was Gene's advice. I think originally I didn't have him meet. I don't think he met. They ever met Ben in the original story, and then Gene was like, "You have to put that. They have to meet him." Like, if I'm remembering correctly, and I think that's why that happens in the story.
Oh wow.
And it's a really good thing I listened to him because I think it does give that catharsis in the story for the readers. Um,
Yeah.
and and but yeah, it's funny that you tell me that it actually aged well because one of my worries with Same Difference and one of the reasons I wanted to do Last Mermaid was all of my work from Same Difference to Tune to Good as Lily, they're all very of that time. So I don't feel like those kind of stories are as eternal because kids that read that Same Difference now, they're not going to know like Real Genius or some minor character from that movie or these other references. So I always feel worried that it's kind of like only of its time. So with The Last Mermaid, I wanted to do something that was just like evergreen, where you didn't need to know anything about your time right now specifically. I mean, other than the Golden Gate Bridge, I guess. But I mean, there'll be other things that, of course, come out later in the story that alludes to things in the real world. But something that wasn't as completely centered in one time, 1 year. Um, but to what you were saying, I think one thing that is good about Same Difference, though, is that it starts at the turn of the century, because they say it at the beginning of the story that it's the turn of the century, and they talk about Y2K and stuff like that. And so I think it does have a really good, like if you want to go back to see what it was like back then, I think it's a good marker for that, because they specifically mentioned that it's right after the millennium, and all the worries and fears and stuff we had are kind of hinted in the story as well. So.
Well, I think you can never go wrong with a story. It goes back something from 20 years back. That always happens. That cycle. In the 70s, everybody was fascinated with the 50s, and
yeah, that's right. That's true.
It's never going to end.
I remember when remember in the 80s, like when we were growing up, probably.
Yeah.
We're probably around the same age. It was all 50s. Like Peggy Sue Got Married, Back to the Future. Like they were such a like 50s nostalgia, and I guess we're kind of that 20-year cycle like you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to round things out by mentioning some of the things that you're going to be doing. You had mentioned New York Comic Con to some other folks, but I stumbled upon I love the name of this place, King Kong Comics.
Yeah, what a great
I got to go there just for the name.
Yeah, it's not too far from Modesto, right?
No, that's what I'm kind of thinking. Maybe I could do it. It's
that'd be great.
Invasion, and it's coming up. It's September 21st and 22nd.
Yes.
So it's a big deal.
Yeah, it'll be a King Kong Comics, and a bunch of Asian American cartoonists from the Bay Area will be there, including my good friends Tin Pham, Jason Shiga. And a bunch of other cartoonists that I'm going to be meeting there for the first time. But it should be a lot of fun. They haven't started advertising it yet, but Mission Comics in San Francisco, 2 Saturdays from now, they'll also be having like an anniversary for their store, and I'll be doing a signing there as well with Tin and Jason, and Gene Yang, I think, will also be in that one. So.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it should be a really good time. Yeah.
And then we have to say maybe a little bit more about the Royals. I was looking through your stuff. Oh wow! I got to ask Derek about Royals. What can you tell us? A thumbnail description of that?
Yeah, I can show a quick image. So this is going to be the cover, drawn by Jacob Perez, who did this alternate cover. But he's such a fantastic artist, and he's really he's the best kind of artist to work with, where they enhance the story. Like they bring out visuals that you hadn't thought of yourself. Like the action sequences he's doing, like I don't think I would have ever thought of how to compose these action scenes. And but basically it's about these 2 twin brothers who are telepathically connected, and they use this ability to con poker games. And in the story they finally get caught. Unfortunately they get caught when it's this huge money stake game broadcast live. And they don't realize that the poker game is actually run by the underground mob, the biggest underground mob in Seoul, South Korea. And so then they have to pay the money back, but they lose the money, and then so because of that, they have to do this heist for them. This is the only way they can pay them back. So they use their ability to do this heist, and that's basically what the story is. And it's sort of like if you like the tone of like Baby Driver, and you marry that with Rounders and the Jackie Chan films, that's basically what Rose is like.
Well, now I've completely lost my train of thought. I was so interested in hearing that.
No worries. It's a pretty wacky story. Yeah. Man. But it's basically me.
I know.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I know. So I get the advanced copies of everything. And so I read number 6, and this is coming out the day before number 6. Yeah. And what's interesting is that after number 6, that's collected into the first trade collection. So that's very significant. And that comes out in I believe October, right? Or
yeah, it was supposed to be September, but it got pushed back to October, and it'll be the week after New York Comic Con. I'm hoping to have copies myself there that I can sell like a few days before, or maybe it's 2 days before. Yeah, it's like a few days before when it comes out. But I should have my copies that I can sell there. So that'll be really exciting. But yeah, it'll collect the first 6 issues. So I'm really eager to see what the bigger world outside of the comics bubble will think of it. I'm kind of worried because in the comics world, it's gotten a pretty good reception, but I have no idea what the book world or the larger, just general public will think of it.
Oh, I think they're gonna love it.
Thank you. I hope so. I hope so.
Oh, I don't know if this is a spoiler alert, so I won't even dare to bring this up. But there's been so much of a buildup on the Last Mermaid's name, and it's revealed. It's revealed at number 6, folks.
Yes, there is a clue to it in number 5, but it's confirmed in number 6. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's without saying the name. This is kind of tricky. Without revealing the name, what made you come up with the name?
I wanted something that evokes her situation.
Her
Because,
joy?
she's kind of like a lone creature in this
Oh,
place, right?
yeah.
So, yeah, I think the name kind of evokes that. And also, it's just like a really lyrical, watery kind of name to me, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a beautiful name, I think, and it's really significant that it's not revealed up to this point, because it says a lot about her character. Meaning, she won't tell anybody her name unless she trusts them, right? So it's a big moment if she reveals her name. So that's why it's not just like me just holding out the name. It's just, it actually has significance in the story and a reason why it hasn't been said yet, because up to this point, she hasn't met anyone she trusts yet. And so, yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah. There's a reason for everything in a really well weaved story.
Thank
Well,
you.
unless I'm missing anything, I think we covered the ground for today. Did I miss
Yeah, I
anything?
mean, I think you're only one of maybe 2 of the dozen Zoom interviews I've done where they actually know you actually know my previous work. So
Oh,
I think you and Chris are probably the only ones that Chris from Comic Tropes are the only ones that actually knew of my work before. So it's pretty cool to actually talk about it, the other stuff too. So thank you for bringing that up.
well, thank you for saying that. Okay, well, thanks so much, Derek. Thanks for taking the time to do this.
Oh no, thank you for having me. Anytime you want me back, I'll be happy to come back.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll end it there, and if I can, I'm going to be coming out to King Kong Comics, so you might see me.
Oh, awesome. That'll be great. It'll be great to see you again.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.